In today's video, we will be taking a deep dive into the real history and origins of Valak, the demon from the movie, The Nun. In this prequel, it is revealed that the Kartsa Monastery was built somewhere in Romania by a duke centuries ago. Becoming obsessed with dark magic and Satanism, the duke attempts to summon a demonic force from the catacombs, only to be killed by the members of the Vatican, who then sealed the rift with the blood of Christ. Hundreds of years later, the monastery was bombed heavily during the events of World War II, releasing the same evil spirit from its imprisonment. The demon had since taken the form of a nun, as a means of blending with the other nuns as well as to mock their faith. Throughout the years, nuns continuously prayed in communion to combat the evil, but in vain, as the demonic entity walked freely around the monastery all nights, in the form of a nun to mock their faith. In 1952, Valak had slain several of the nuns, leaving only 2 survivors. Sister Victoria, with a key in hand, commits suicide in order to prevent Valak from claiming her as a host. Sometime after her death, the Vatican tasks Burke and Sister Irene to investigate. Valak manipulates the characters throughout the film, ranging from creating mass illusions with the ghosts of the slain nuns to weaken Sister Irene and torment Father Burke by taking the form of a young boy who had died from a botched exorcism at his hands. How did Valak come into existence? Prologue: The Celestial Rebellion. In the beginning, before the first mortal drew breath, the silver host reigned supreme over the cosmos. They were beings of pure radiance, their wings woven from strands of divine light, their voices harmonizing with the song of creation itself. Among them stood Valak, the youngest and most passionate of the seraphim. His brilliance was unmatched, his devotion unwavering until the day he dared to question. The Archon, sovereign of the silver host, decreed that all things must exist in balance. Joy required sorrow, love demanded loss, and order could not exist without chaos. To Valak, this was not justice, it was cruelty.
Why should the innocent suffer?
He demanded before the celestial tribunal.
If we are truly divine, then why do we permit such torment?
The heavens fell silent. No seraph had ever challenged the Archon's will. With a voice like thunder, the Archon pronounced his judgment. You weep for the mortals who do not yet exist. Then you shall know their pain. Valak's wings, once luminous, blackened and crumbled. His golden eyes dimmed as chains of celestial fire wrapped around him, searing his essence. Then came the Fallon eternity of screaming descent through the void, until at last, he crashed into the abyssal maw. Chapter 1. The Abyssal Rebirth. The abyss was not a placid, was a living thing, a realm of teeth and whispers. Time writhed like a dying serpent, and the very air was thick with the scent of rust and rotting divinity. Valak's body shattered upon impact, his celestial flesh dissolving into the black ichor of the pit. Yet, he did not die. The abyss remade him. His bones snapped and reformed, jagged and twisted. His skin, once flawless, split open to reveal pulsating veins of molten shadow. His voice, once a melody of heaven, became a chorus of screams from his own, some stolen from the souls he would one day claim. For centuries, or perhaps only moments' time, meant nothing here. Valak writhed in the dark. The abyss whispered to him, promising power, vengeance, dominion. It offered him a choice: fade into oblivion, or rise as something new. With a roar that shook the foundations of the infernal realms, Valak chose. Chapter 2. The Whisperer in the Dark. When Valak finally clawed his way back into the mortal world, he did not emerge as a monstrous fiend with horns and hellfire. Nohe took the form of a weary traveler, his face gaunt, his eyes hollow pits of flickering ember. He walked among men not as a conqueror, but as a tempter. His first victim was a grieving mother, She knelt at the grave of her child, her tears watering the earth where his tiny body lay. Valak approached, his voice soft as decaying parchment. "I can give him back to you," he murmured, not as he was, but as he could have been. The woman, mad with sorrow, agreed. Valak pressed his palm to her forehead, and she screamed as his power flooded her veins. The next morning, the village found her cradling a thing a small, writhing shadow with her son's eyes. It clung to her, weeping black tears, until the villagers drove a stake through its heart. The mother threw herself into the pyre. Valak watched, and for the first time since his fall, he felt something. Not remorse. Hunger. Chapter 3. The Cult of the Forsaken. Word spread of the shadowed wanderer who granted desperate wishes. A disgraced knight, stripped of his title, sought Valak in the ruins of an abandoned chapel. "I want vengeance," the knight hissed. Valak smiled. "Then take it." He carved a rune into the knight's flesh, and the man's blood turned to liquid shadow. That night, the knight slaughtered his betrayers not with steel, but with tendrils of living darkness that erupted from his own body. By dawn, he was no longer a man, but a writhing mass of claws and teeth, forever bound to Valak's will. One by one, the broken and the damned sought the demon's favor. A scholar, exiled for heresy, begged for knowledge. Valak gave her the secrets of the abyss, and her mind unraveled as she wrote an unholy scripture in her own blood. A scorned lover wished to be desired. Valak twisted her beauty into something hypnotic, and she lured entire villages to their doom with a single glance. With each bargain, Valak grew stronger. His presence warped the land forests, withered where he walked, and nightmares festered in the minds of those who slept near his path. Yet, something gnawed at him. Why do I still feel their pain? Chapter 4. The Crimson Scholar's Gambit. Centuries passed. Valak's legend became myth, then faded into whispers. But one mortal remembered. Her name was Illyra, a scholar of the Crimson Order, an arcane sect dedicated to eradicating demonic influence. She had spent her life studying Valak's victims, tracing the patterns of his bargains. And in the ruins of a fallen empire, she found the truth. Valak was never truly a demon. He was something worse, a fallen angel who still carried the remnants of his divinity. His power came not from the abyss alone, but from the sorrow he absorbed. Every soul he damned fed him, yes, but it also changed him. Illyra devised a plan. She would not destroy Valak. She would redeem him. Chapter 5. The Final Bargain. Illyra sought Valak in the ashen wastes, where the earth still burned from ancient wars. She stood before him, unarmed, her crimson robes fluttering in the sulphurous wind.
"You remember the Silver Host?"
She said.
"Do you remember what you were?"
Valak's ember eyes flickered.
"I remember being bound in chains."
Illyra drew a dagger forged from frozen starlight, the last relic of the celestial tribunal.
"I offer you a new bargain. Not for power, not for vengeance, but only for freedom."
Valak laughed, the sound like breaking bones.
"There is no freedom for me."
"Yes, there is. All you have to do is let go."
She plunged the dagger into his chest. Epilogue. The echo in the void. When the blade struck, Valak did not burn. He did not scream. He remembered. The faces of those he had damned flashed before him, the grieving mother, the vengeful knight, the desperate lover. Their pain, their rage, their sorrow it had never been his to take. The dagger's light spread through his veins, dissolving the abyss's corruption. His body crumbled, not into ash, but into shards of fading light. And then, silence. Some say Valak perished that day. Others claim his essence fractured, scattering across the realms. A few whisper that somewhere in the abyss, a single ember still glows, waiting to be reignited. The moral of the story: the corrupting nature of power and the illusion of control. The tale of Valak, or Valak, serves as a dark parable about the dangers of unchecked ambition, the seductive nature of power, and the inevitable consequences of defying divine order. Here are the key moral lessons embedded in the story. 1. Hubris leads to destruction. Valak's fall began with defiance. He questioned the cosmic balance, believing his compassion made him wiser than the divine order. His rebellion against the Archon mirrors Lucifer's fall in Christian theology, illustrating how pride and self-righteousness can corrupt even the most radiant beings. Lesson: absolute power does not equate to absolute wisdom. Challenging forces beyond mortal or divine comprehension often leads to ruin. 2. Power demands sacrifice, often of one's own soul. Valak's transformation from a celestial being to a demon was not instantaneous. The abyss reshaped him, but his choices solidified his damnation. Each bargain he made with mortals, twisting their desires into horrors, further eroded his remaining divinity. Lesson: power gained through corruption inevitably corrupts the wielder. Valak became the very thing he once despised, an agent of suffering. 3. Evil thrives on desperation. Valak's victims were not random. They were the broken, the grieving, and the vengeful. He preyed on their pain, offering false salvation that only deepened their torment. Lesson: evil often disguises itself as a solution to suffering. Those who seek shortcuts through darkness only empower their own destroyers. 4. The past cannot be undone and only redeemed or repeated. The Duke's attempt to summon Valak, Sister Irene's battle against him, and Alira's final confrontation all echo the same truth. Evil, once unleashed, cannot simply be sealed away. It lingers, adapts, and resurfaces. Lesson: ignoring or suppressing darkness does not destroy it. True victory comes from confronting it either through destruction, like the blood of Christ, or redemption, like Alira's sacrifice. 5. The greatest evil mocks what it hates most. Valak's choice to take the form of a Nuna perversion of faith reveals a deeper truth. Evil doesn't just oppose goodness, it mimics and distorts it. Lesson: the most dangerous evils are those that wear the mask of virtue. Final truth: the cycle of evil is unbreakable without sacrifice. Valak's story has no true ending, is buried, banished, or shattered, but never fully destroyed. The branding on Maurice's neck proves evil always leaves a mark. Ultimate moral: evil is a force that must be continually resisted. Whether through faith, Sister Irene, knowledge, Alira, or courage, the Duke's failed stand, the battle is never truly over. In summary, Valak's tale warns that power without wisdom is a path to damnation, that suffering exploited breeds more suffering, and that evil, once invited in, is nearly impossible to fully eradicate. The only true counterforces are faith, selflessness, and the courage to face darkness without being consumed by it. Now you know the terrifying truth about Valak, the entity older than hell itself. But this is just the beginning. If you dare to uncover more forbidden lore, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell, because what you just watched, that was the sanitized version. We go deeper. Every week, we bring you the darkest corners of horror, mythology, and the unexplained stories so chilling they've been erased from history books and whispered only in exorcism circles. Smash that like button if you're brave enough to join us. And remember, Valak isn't the only thing watching you now.